Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India reacts on Trump's statement on bilateral trade, says the government will take all steps necessary to secure national interest, attaches utmost importance to protecting and promoting the welfare of farmers, entrepreneurs and MSMEs. Donald Trump also hits Brazil and South Korea with high tariffs ahead of August 1st deadline, puts 50% tariffs on Brazil and 15% on imports from South Korea. US Federal Reserve keeps interest rates unchanged despite pressure from the Trump administration. New Delhi wakes up to a rainy morning, more showers likely as the city breathes its cleanest air in over a decade. Elsewhere in western and southern parts of India, a day-long spell of rain and thunder showers expected. And in cricket, Ben Stokes ruled out of the fifth test against India at the Oval. England make 4 changes in their playing 11 for the series decider starting today. The government of India on Wednesday issued a measured response to US President Donald Trump's tariff announcement. The government said it has taken note of the US President's statement and is studying its implications. According to a statement by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, India and the US have been engaged in negotiations on concluding a fair, balanced and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement over the last few months. They remain committed to that objective. The Indian government attaches the utmost importance to protecting and promoting the welfare of the country's farmers, entrepreneurs and MSMEs. It will take all steps necessary to secure India's national interest, as has been the case with other trade agreements, including the latest comprehensive economic and trade agreement with the UK. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, US President Donald Trump announced to impose a 25% tariff on imports from India starting August 1st. Also, he said that the United States is still negotiating with India on trade. Further, US President Donald Trump signed an executive order implementing an additional 40% tariff on Brazil, bringing the total tariff amount to 50%. The order said that the tariffs would go into effect 7 days after its signing on Wednesday. The order would apply an additional 40% tariff on the baseline 10% tariff already being levied by Donald Trump. But not all goods imported from Brazil would face the 40% tariff. Civil aircraft and parts, aluminium, tin, wood pulp, energy products and fertilizers are among the products being excluded. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva hit back at the move, saying he would defend the sovereignty of the Brazilian people in the face of measures announced by the President of the United States. The United States has agreed a trade deal with South Korea that will subject South Korean imports to a 15% tariff on imports as part of an agreement with the Asian trading partner. As part of the arrangement, South Korea will also invest $350 billion in the United States and purchase $100 billion of liquefied natural gas and other energy products. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said that the deal would put his country on an equal or better footing compared with other countries. The announcement comes just a day before an August 1st deadline for countries to reach agreements with the US or be hit with higher tariffs. South Korea had been facing a 25% levy if it had not struck a deal. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said on Wednesday that tariff negotiations with the US President Donald Trump's administration have been constructive, but the talks may not conclude by an August 1st deadline.
These are complex, they're comprehensive, they're constructive negotiations with the Americans are ongoing. It's possible that they may not conclude by the 1st of August. But we'll see. The team's there. We're working hard. Conversations today, myself.
The monsoon session of Parliament continued on Wednesday with an intense discussion on Operation Sindoor, the military operation launched in May this year in response to the Pahalgam terror attack. While the Lok Sabha wrapped up its debate on Tuesday, the focus shifted to the Rajya Sabha on Wednesday, where both diplomacy and defence strategies were at the centre of the narrative. DD India's Dibyendu Mondal reports on the key moments from both the houses.
माननीय अध्यक्ष जी।
The monsoon session of Parliament entered a crucial phase as both houses took up an in-depth discussion on Operation Sindoor, a significant military operation launched in May to counter cross-border terrorism. While the Lok Sabha concluded its debate on Tuesday, the spotlight was on the Rajya Sabha on Wednesday. Opening the debate in the upper house, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar laid out India's diplomatic stance during the operation. He underscored that the ceasefire between India and Pakistan was not influenced by any external pressure and reaffirmed that the issue remains strictly bilateral.
There was no leader, nobody anywhere in the world who asked India to stop its operations. There was no linkage of trade in any of those conversations, and there was no cause between Prime Minister and President Trump.
The Rajya Sabha witnessed a spirited exchange, with opposition leaders trying to corner the government on multiple fronts, from intelligence inputs to operational details and political accountability. Responding to the opposition, BJP National President and leader of the House, JP Nadda, strongly defended the government's handling of the operation. He hailed the Indian Armed Forces for executing the mission with tactical precision and unmatched professionalism.
यह जरूर है कि सारी घटना में जो रोल हमारे जांबाज फौज ने किया, जो रोल हमारे पुलिस ने किया, जो रोल हमारी आर्मी ने किया, उसको देश नमन होकर के उनके प्रति आदर के साथ। लेकिन मैं इस हाउस के माध्यम से देश को यह बताना चाहता हूं कि पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप बहुत महत्वपूर्ण होती है, क्योंकि फौज को आदेश पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप देती है, और इसलिए देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नमेंट, अ रिस्पॉन्सिव गवर्नमेंट, अ सेंसिटिव गवर्नमेंट, अ प्रोएक्टिव गवर्नमेंट, and a government which responds according to the need of the hour.
Home Minister Amit Shah hailed the security forces for the success of Operation Sindoor as well as that of Operation Mahadev.
22 मई को हमें सूचना मिल गई थी कि ये जगह पे टेररिस्ट लोकेट है। 22 जुलाई को इनके लोरा सेट को ट्रैक करने का काम समाप्त हुआ, एग्जैक्ट पिन पॉइंटेड लोकेशन को आइडेंटिफाई किया गया और स्ट्राइक किया गया। तीनों आतंकवादी मारे गए हैं। कोइंसिडेंट देखिए मान्यवर, देश भर से मुझे बहुत एसएमएस आए थे, विशेषकर जो मारे गए थे उनके परिजनों का, इनके सर में गोली मारिएगा, जब भी मारे तब। तीनों के एनकाउंटर के वक्त तीनों के सर में ही गोली लगा है।
With more than 16 hours of debate in both the houses, Operation Sindoor has emerged as one of the most intensely discussed national security operations in recent memory. The government has clarified that the operation was aimed at neutralizing threats and asserting India's zero-tolerance policy towards terrorism. Clearly, Operation Sindoor, though concluded on ground, continues to echo within the walls of India's highest legislature, reflecting the nation's resolve and political accountability. Dibyendu Mondal's report, DD India.
And next we take a look at the agenda of the day in both houses of Indian Parliament. Apart from other legislative businesses, the lower house will take up two bills: readjustment of representation of scheduled tribes in assembly constituencies of the state of Goa Bill 2024 and the Merchant Shipping Bill 2024 for consideration and passage. The Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill 2025 will be taken up by the upper house of the Indian Parliament for consideration and passing. The National Investigation Agency, NIA, has arrested a key terror operative from Haryana in the CPI Maoist NRB region revival attempt case. Priyanshu Kashyap, a native of Bastar in Chhattisgarh and currently living in Rohtak district of Haryana, was nabbed on Tuesday on the basis of information provided by Haryana police. Kashyap was found to be a member of the proscribed terror organization CPIM and was actively working to promote the anti-national activities as its area committee in charge in Rohtak. The anti-terror organization had earlier arrested 2 other persons in the same case, in which investigations are continuing. The 7th meeting of the India-Nepal Boundary Working Group concluded on Tuesday in New Delhi with the approval of joint teams to fix boundary pillars, encroachments and wrap up the work by 2027. During the 2-day meet, both sides agreed to complete the bilateral boundary work within 3 years. They jointly adopted updated modalities for inspection, repair and maintenance of boundary pillars along the India-Nepal boundary and agreed to expedite work in this regard. The 2 sides also reviewed the progress of work done after the last BWG meeting held in August 2019. The next Survey Officials Committee meeting will be held in Nepal on mutually agreed dates. And on to some weather updates around the world. First, updates from India. Heavy rainfall accompanied by thunderstorms lashed most parts of New Delhi, bringing respite from the hot and humid weather that was prevailing in the national capital for the past few days. Amid the Delhi weather alert, the India Meteorological Department (IMD) issued a red alert for the national capital, propelled by regular rainfall on 23 of 31 days this month. The capital has recorded its cleanest air for the month of July over the past 10 years, according to data shared by the Central Pollution Control Board. Until July 30th, the monthly average air quality index has been 79, which is classified as satisfactory. Moderate rainfall predicted at many places of western parts of the country during the next 6 to 7 days. Moderate rainfall is also predicted at many places, accompanied with thunderstorm, lightning and isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall. This will likely continue over Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya till 3rd of August. Similar conditions will prevail over sub-Himalayan West Bengal and Sikkim and over Bihar until the 2nd of August. Moderate rainfall is expected at many places over Kerala, Lakshadweep, Karnataka, coastal Andhra Pradesh and Telangana during the next 7 days. Life returns to normal after a very powerful magnitude 8.8 earthquake off Russia's far eastern Kamchatka coast on Wednesday. It triggered tsunami warnings in Hawaii and along the entirety of western coast of the United States and as far away as French Polynesia and Chile. The shallow quake damaged buildings and injured several people in the remote Russian region, while much of Japan's eastern seaboard, devastated by a 9.0 magnitude earthquake and tsunami in 2011, was ordered to evacuate, as were parts of Hawaii. By the evening, Japan, Hawaii and Russia had downgraded most tsunami warnings, but authorities in French Polynesia warned residents of several of the remote Marquesas Islands to move to higher ground and expect waves as high as 2.5 meters. Further, Hawaii recorded waves of up to 1.7 meters, while in Japan the largest recorded wave came to 1.3 meters. Flights out of Honolulu Airport resumed in the evening. Kamchatka and Russia's Far East sit on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a geologically active region that is prone to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Peru's capital Lima restricted access to its coastline on Wednesday following a tsunami alert triggered by Russia's earthquake. The National Emergency Operations Center warned that a train of waves was expected along the coast in the afternoon. The center also reported that 126 ports were closed along the coast following the alert. The Civil Defense Disaster Risk Management Deputy Chief sent a message of calm, saying the sea volume was within normal levels. While the coastline of Easter Island, known by locals as Rapa Nui, saw waves of up to 70 centimeters on Wednesday, The National Service for Disaster Prevention and Response said that the waves on Easter Island reached a maximum height of 70 centimeters, while waves ranging between 30 and 60 centimeters were recorded in the west of Chile. You're with us on DD India Live, still to come on the show. U.S. sanctions Brazil's Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who is overseeing the criminal case against former President Jair Bolsonaro. After France and the UK, Canada too intends to recognize the Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. And India and the US mark their maiden space collaboration with the cutting-edge Earth observation mission NISAR or NISAR.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja. In a dramatic policy shift, Canada too intends to recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. Prime Minister Mark Carney stressed that the move was necessary to preserve hopes of a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He said it has been a long-standing Canadian goal that was being eroded. It makes Canada the third country, following recent announcements by France and the United Kingdom, that they could recognize a Palestinian state in September.
Prospects for a two-state solution have been steadily and gravely eroded, including by the pervasive threat of Hamas terrorism to Israel and its people, culminating in the heinous attack of October 7, 2023, and the terrorist organization Hamas's long-standing violent rejection of Israel's right to exist and its rejection of a two-state solution. A belief in a two-state solution, the inalienable rights of both peoples, and the fact that peace and security could only be achieved through it. That prospect, that possibility of a two-state solution is being eroded before our eyes.
Now, Israel blasted Canada's announcement as part of a distorted campaign of international pressure. In a statement, Israeli Foreign Ministry said that this announcement represented a reward to terrorist faction Hamas and harms the efforts to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and a framework for the release of the hostages. Moving on, the U.S. administration also announced sanctions on Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who is overseeing the criminal case against former President Jair Bolsonaro. The U.S. imposed sanctions on Moraes, accusing him of authorizing arbitrary pre-trial detentions and suppressing freedom of expression. Moraes is overseeing the criminal case against Bolsonaro, who has been charged with plotting a coup in Brazil. Moraes was sanctioned under the Global Magnitsky Act, which allows the U.S. to impose economic penalties against foreigners it considers to have a record of corruption or human rights abuses. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva slammed the sanctions as arbitrary and unjustifiable. Meanwhile, Jair Bolsonaro has denied that he led an attempt to overthrow the government, but has acknowledged taking part in meetings aimed at reversing the election's outcome. On to some business news now. The U.S. Central Bank held interest rates steady on Wednesday, and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's comments after the decision undercut confidence that borrowing costs would begin to fall in September, possibly stoking the ire of President Donald Trump, who has demanded immediate and steep rate relief. Powell said that the Fed is focused on controlling inflation, not on government borrowing or home mortgage costs that Trump wants lowered, and added that the risk of rising price pressures from the administration's trade and other policies remains too high for the central bank to begin loosening its grip until more information is collected. On to cricket now. With an aim to level the series, the Shubman Gill-led India will take on England without their skipper Ben Stokes in the fifth and the final test at the Kennington Oval in London starting Thursday. Ollie Pope will lead the English side. Following a sensational match-saving performance at Old Trafford, the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy heads into a thrilling finale at the Oval where everything is still on the line. India and the US marked their maiden space collaboration with the successful flight of a rocket that placed an Earth observation satellite into orbit. The satellite is a cutting-edge Earth observation mission jointly developed by ISRO and the US space agency NASA. It is equipped with dual-frequency radar systems and is designed to monitor subtle changes on the Earth's surface. DD India's Jai Singh reports from Sriharikota.
2, 1, 0. All L40 engines generating nominal thrust.
In a copybook-style launch, the latest Earth observation satellite NISAR was launched by the ISRO rocket GSLV F-16 from Sriharikota in the evening on Wednesday. Hailing the success of the mission, ISRO chairman Dr. Narayanan said there will be 9 more launch missions that will be carried out by ISRO before the end of this financial year.
GSLV F-16 vehicle has successfully and precisely injected the NASA-ISRO synthetic aperture radar satellite, NISR satellite, weighing 2,393 kg into its intended orbit. Being the first SSPO mission, several analyses and studies were carried out to make this mission a grand successful mission.
The name NISR is the short form for NASA-ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar, as it is a joint effort by the 2 space agencies of the United States and India. The Deputy Associate Administrator of NASA, K.C. Swales, said that the NISR mission was a major achievement and a powerful symbol of international cooperation.
In this mission, it's truly a pathfinder, not just in regards to our technical collaborations, because those are truly incredible. This Earth science mission is one of a kind and really shows the world what our 2 nations can do. But more so than that, it really is a pathfinder for the relationship building that we see across our 2 nations, across India, the United States, building upon decades of collaborations that already existed.
NISR is the first ever Earth observation satellite to be built with dual frequency radars. Calling NISR a game changer, India's Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, hailed the mission and lauded ISRO's role in its success.
That's one of the biggest collaborations at the international level that ISRO has engaged with. We're one of the most premier agencies called the NASA, which in fact took off much before we did. And today we are in a position to be equal partners with them. We have contributed the S-band, they have contributed the L-band. So in a way, we are partnering this new game-changing experiment.
NISR is capable of covering the entire landmass, glaciers, and forests once every 12 days, and can beam a tremendous amount of data up to 80 TB non-stop. As the satellite relies on synthetic aperture radars, rain or sunshine, pitch darkness or torrential rains, dark clouds or clear skies cannot block its eyes, and therefore it serves as an all-weather satellite, unlike its peers that use mostly optic cameras. Jai Singh's report from Sriharikota.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.